Hey, it's Erin. So you want to compete, but you don't know where to start. I've got you. In this video, we're going to go over 5 quick tips that will get you ready for stage, or at least to help you develop a plan to get there. Now, before we dive into the 5 quick tips, I have to say this. The stage should not be used as a weight loss tool. So if you have, let's say, 25, 30 pounds of fat to lose, my recommendation to you is before you even think about competing, spend 6 months to a year getting to maintenance weight and staying there for another 6 months to a year. The stage is always going to be there. Health is number one, and the plastic trophy should not come before your health. And I say this because a lot of times, if competitors or would-be competitors use the stage as a weight loss tool, then there's a huge chance of rebounding afterwards. So if you lose 30 pounds to get to stage or 40 pounds to get to stage, a lot of times there's that pendulum effect. So you can gain that 30, 40, 50 pounds back plus more. So you see this yo-yo diet. And of course, dieting for stage is inherently tough, just on its own. There is that pendulum or that rebound effect, but just make sure you're taking care of yourself and you're not using the stage as a quick fix to get you to your goal weight, because it's just not sustainable. So I'll get off my soapbox and I'll get into the 5 quick tips. Now, number 1, assess your physique along with assessing the different categories. Now, for women, you have a huge range of muscularity and presentation styles along with the different federations. Of course, my favorite is NPC for amateurs and IFBB Pro League as a pro, but there are tons of divisions out there. And the least muscular is bikini, and then you go up to figure, and then you've got wellness if you're a little bit more muscular in the lower body. And of course you have physique, which is even more muscle. If you have the gymnastics background, you have fitness. Then you have, I think I mentioned physique and bodybuilding. So, you're able to kind of grow or go up the ranks in muscle if you choose to, or you can just stick with bikini or figure, which is on the less muscular side. So think about the different divisions, compare them to your current physique and your goal physique. So let's say you have a little bit of muscle, you want a little bit more, then I would say go for bikini. If you don't like the posing or the presentation of bikini, I wasn't such a fan getting into it because it's a little bit more freestyle, a little bit more flirtatious. Don't let that stop you. You can still make it classy and elegant, but just make sure that your physique, your goal physique, and the ideal stage physique for that division, those all have to line up. Otherwise, you're going to be training for something that you may not necessarily be wholeheartedly into. So that's number 1. And then think about why you're competing. Your why is so important. So if you know that you're competing, it's for yourself or it's for your business, and it's something that, it comes from within that you've been wanting to do, then go for it. If it's something that someone else is pressuring you to do, or it comes from an external source, then it's not going to be fun and you're probably not going to do well. So think about why you're competing and write that down. Number 2, come up with a game plan for stage. So look at the stage competition schedule. A lot of times they'll run from, let's say, February to late November or early December. So it's almost year round as far as competing, and give yourself extra time. So if it's something where you need to put on muscle and lean down, then you may be looking at 6 months to a year, depending on how much muscle you need to gain, or even longer. And don't be afraid to take that time. A lot of times people will just want to jump to stage and they're not ultimately successful, and they probably don't have a good time because they didn't allow their body time to gain that muscle. Keep the muscle for a little while and then go into the shred. So it is a process, and something like figure or wellness or physique, you're going to require a little bit more time to build that muscle, and that's okay if it's something you really want to do. Now, there's nothing wrong with, if your ultimate goal is to go to figure, but let's say you have bikini muscle, there's nothing wrong with entering the bikini division and then working your way up to figure. But just keep in mind that as you're dieting down for your bikini show, you're probably losing muscle. You're definitely not gaining muscle. So kind of weigh things out. And it's really good to have a short-term plan and a long-term plan, just so you know where you want to go with this, and that goes back to your why. Why are you doing it? Do you want to get to the Olympia stage? Do you want to do it for potential sponsorships or to help with your business? There's really no wrong answer there, as long as it is for yourself and it's coming from a good place. So the other thing that I'll mention about the plan, a Dexa scan can be really important here because it's going to give you a good indication as to where your muscle mass is, where you might need to add muscle, along with those progress pictures. And the progress pictures, I have a video on that. I can leave that in the link I can leave a link in the description below so you can check that out. And really, really important to keep your progress pictures, but I think a Dexa scan every 3 to 6 months is going to be super helpful because it's going to let you know exactly how much muscle mass you have. So, if you have thick legs, for example, you want to know, is that muscle or is that fat that you need to kind of pull off to bring out the muscle? All right, number 3, budget. Understand that competing can be very expensive. Now, if you go with a new competition suit, you're looking at anywhere between $500 to $1,000. You have hair and makeup, tanning, travel, food, all of that. You've got your shoes, your jewelry. It's expensive. Paying for your NPC card or your pro card, paying for the show entry fee, it really can add up. So make sure that you have a good understanding as to budget. If you're on a shoestring budget, totally fine. You can get a consignment suit, no problem. You can do your own hair, you can do your own makeup. You can even get those press-on nails, and they work really well. I used to do that. If something like this is of interest, let me know. I can go through more of the details of competing. If you want to know where to find suits, where to find the cheapest jewelry, I'm happy to help with that and can create a separate video for that. So think about working with a coach or learn. You must know your body. You must know macros. You got to know progression. You have to know how to use cardio, when to use cardio. And this is really, really important. And if you do it yourself, I still recommend having someone that you can turn to that can give you objective feedback, because as you get ready for contest, closer you get to the show, the more that temporary body dysmorphia can kick in, and you'll look at yourself in the mirror and your body will change day to day. So it can be really tough. So if you do it yourself, make sure you learn yourself and you learn the science behind everything that goes into building muscle, shredding down, and everything in between. And if not, getting a coach who understands you, understands the process, and can perhaps work with you on a one-to-one basis and not give you a cookie cutter diet. Because if you work with a large coach, a lot of times what's going to happen is you're going to get a cookie cutter program and they're going to put you on a ton of cardio and they're going to put you on bodybuilder keto, which is basically fish and asparagus or fish and broccoli. And that's a recipe for rebound, which we can talk about in another video if you would like. But, really ask questions, interview someone that, you're considering as a potential coach. Really important, to go with someone you feel comfortable with, who answers your questions and who will listen to your feedback and make those adjustments. Because at the end of the day, you're living in your body and you know what's best for you, or you can provide that feedback according to how you're feeling. And lastly, think about those finishing details, the icing on the cake. We always think about the training. We always think about everything that goes into getting that muscle for stage, but peak week is really important. So think about doing a mock peak week at some point during your prep, probably as you get a little bit leaner. This way you can work on manipulating your carbs, your sodium, your water, and looking at all of the different things that you can tweak during that peak week in order to make the muscles really pop. And if you want to see a peak week video, I'm happy to do that too. I love that stuff. As a lifetime natural athlete, learning the science, understanding that the ingestion of carbs after carb depletion can really help to fill the muscles out, and then you don't have to cut water. But at the end of the day, you have to get shredded. So you're looking at single digit body fat, and whatever your estimate is for the amount of weight that you probably need to lose, you can probably add 2 to 5 pounds to that, just because you have to get a lot leaner than you think in order to get to stage. So, really consider that last peak week, or that last week of dieting. Think about your posing. Think about the best angles for your body, because we're all shaped differently. And especially for a division like bikini or wellness, you have the ability to show off your assets versus really showing off weaknesses. So this takes practice. It takes time. It takes practice not in front of a mirror, because when you're on stage, you don't get that visual feedback of the mirror. You're looking at the judges and the crowd. So make sure you practice and really give that attention to the final week and the posing that goes along with it. So let me know what you think. Are you thinking about competing? Do you have further questions? If so, let me know in the comments below. Happy to expand on any of these points. I love talking all things competing. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, joining the Fit Fam. That's it for this time. Until next time, train hard and train smart, y'all.